Hi everybody, Mr. Owens here. I'm going to be going over proportions. So for this, you need to think all the way back to September when Edgenuity taught you about proportional relationships. So if you think back to that, a proportional relationship is when a situation goes up at a constant rate and it includes the point 0, 0. So if you're looking at that and you're like, I don't really remember that. You might remember setting up a table, right, with X and Y and kind of figuring out what you're multiplying by to get from one to the other, right? So for this one, you're either multiplying by 4 or you are dividing by 4, depending on which way you go. And from there, you graphed it, right? You remember you put the points on the graph, and then you put a line through it. If it was a straight line that went through 0, 0, yes, it was proportional. We had this thing called unit rate, which now we're calling scale factor. It's really the same thing, okay? It's just the amount you're going up by each time in a proportional relationship. So to find the scale factor, right, we've been doing division b over a. So if you take these points, you can do 12 divided by 3, or you could do 8 divided by 2. These are all, you'll get the same answer no matter what. You could do 4 divided by 1. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer. So now I know that was a quick review. If you need some more help with proportional relationships, I have a bunch of videos. Just check out the rest of my videos on them. But now we're going to go into what Edgenuity is teaching you, which is solving a proportion with cross products. So this is a way of solving it that I actually don't really teach anymore. It's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing it. But I'll teach you what Edgenuity is, how Edgenuity wants you to do it, and then I'll show you why it works that way, okay? If you get confused about the why it works that way part, that's fine. Just make sure you know how to do what Edgenuity wants you to do. So here we have two similar shapes, right? And we've been talking about making a table, right? Putting the short side with the short side. So if we have a table, we have A and B. And I wanted to use a nice, easy example that you could figure out without doing the new strategy, right? Without doing this new thing I'm about to teach you. I want you to know the answer so you can focus on the strategy. So we have the two short sides, right? The short side of A is 2. The short side of B is 4. Next, right, the long side of A is 5. And the long side of B is X. And we've been working on how to figure out what X is, right? So one way to do that is to ask yourself, all right, what are you multiplying A by A to get to B? This one's nice and easy, right? It's times 2. So we know that X is going to equal 10, okay? We know that answer, not a big deal. Remember, right now we're not worried about the answer, we're worried about the strategy. So what Edgenuity wants you to do is set up what's called a proportion. And that's when you set two ratios, two fractions equal to each other. Okay, so this is a proportion. And one proportion you'll have A, the other proportion you'll have B. And this is going to be like short on top and long on bottom. Okay, and let me just get this table out of the way. I actually want to move this down. Okay, so short on top, long on the bottom. So that means the long is going to be on the bottom, the short is going to be on the top. So we are making a ratio of the side lengths. This is a ratio of the side lengths. And when they're set equal to each other with this equal sign, it's called a proportion. So the short side of A is 2. The short side of B is 4. The long side of A is 5. The long side of B is X. So we need to figure out, this says 2/5 equals 4 over X. So we need to figure out what X is. Now, the way Edgenuity teaches you this is they want you to use cross products. Let me use a different color to really make these clear. So what they want to do is they want you to take 4 and 5 and do, okay, so 5 times 4 equals, and then they want you to do this, 2 times X. Okay, so they want you to circle the cross products. And if you go to Kumon, this is how Kumon teaches you to do it also, okay? So 4 times 5 is 20 equals 2 times X is 2X, right? And how do we go? Think back to algebra. Think back to when we did our algebra. How do we undo, right? How do we undo times 2? 2 times x, what's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Dividing by 2. So these cancel out. 20 divided by 2 is 10, and that equals x, okay? So that is actually how you solve this using proportions. And you might say to yourself, but Mr. Owens, I figured this out so easy using the table. It's not a big deal. You're correct, but sometimes the numbers will be so tricky that you'll need to use the proportional reasoning to figure it out, okay? So let me just real quick go over why that works, okay? Well, actually, yeah, I'll go over why that works with this example. So 2/5 equals 4 over x. Right here we have we have the same proportion, right? 2/5 equals 4 over x. And this is just an algebraic equation. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky and a little bit confusing, okay? So remember, our goal in algebra is to get x by itself, right? So here we have 4 divided by x. So to get rid of 4 divided by x, not x divided by 4, what we want to do is we want to multiply by x on each side. We want to multiply by x over 1. That way, these will cancel out, and we'll get 2x over 5 equals 4. Then we want to get rid of the dividing by 5, right? So we're going to multiply by 5. So then we'll get 2x. These cancel out. We get 2x equals 20. So in doing this, right, what we've done is we've multiplied by x and we've multiplied by 5, right? We've multiplied by x. Let me write this in a way that makes a little bit more sense. Multiply by x and we've multiplied by 5. That's exactly what we did here, right, with these circles, right, with the red and blue circles. We've multiplied by x, so we multiplied by 5. So we got 2x equals 20. Then you just solve it the same way, divide both sides by 2. Just cancel out, you're left with, oops, put x on the wrong side. You're left with x equals 10. Okay, so that's the algebraic reason why this happens. And the way I teach it normally is through the algebraic reason, not through memorizing cross products. But if you need to, if the algebra doesn't make sense, just focus on this cross product thing right here. Okay, so let's try another one. Before I end the video. Here we have a and b, and right, you can set up a table a and b, right? And the short side of a is 10, right? And the short side of b is 15. And then for the other side, right, the medium side, right, of a is 12. And for b, it's x. So we have 12 and x. So when we're setting up our proportion, remember this is short, this is long. And when we set up the proportions, we have a and b, and we'll have short over long. So what that means is we'll have the long side in the denominator, we'll have the short side in the numerator. So we'll have 10, 15, and then 12x. So 10 over 12 equals 15 over x, right? If they're proportional, they will be equal to each other. So now you might ask yourself here, right? Like, if you're looking at this table, what do you multiply 10 by to get to 15? That's a little harder, right? That's a little trickier. And we've been doing b divided by a, right? So that would be 15 divided by 10. So maybe you'll get your answer, right? Maybe you can get your answer this way and then figure it out. You'll notice that this is actually a quicker way of doing that. So here, let me use different colors again. We'll have 12 and 15, right? So the cross products, 12 times 15. And then we have 10 times x. You multiply the diagonals like that, right? And 10 times x is just 10x. 12 times 15, if you need to use a calculator, you can. Let me just think about this real quick. 150, 170. It should be 174. Let me just use a calculator. Just want to double check. Oh, 180. See, that's why you double check. Okay, so you have 180, right? And then, let me use the right color here. And then to get x all by itself, right? Our goal is to get x all by itself. The opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So these cancel out. Divide by 10 on both sides, and you're left with 18 equals x. All right, so that is our answer, x equals 18. So it's a lot easier than the other way of doing it. So it goes really quick. So remember what we're doing is we're multiplying diagonals and then dividing. So the way I learned this, you can write this down. Your first step is to cross multiply, and second step is divide. Cross multiply, divide. And if you want to know the reason why it works, it has to do with algebra. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Please email me if you have any questions, and come to my office hours if you need any extra help. All right, good luck, everybody.